Okay, so originally I had some fluffy shit to say, but let's be real, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! I was gonna say something like nostalgia, a feeling of sentiment or affection for the past, a longing for a time bygone. But I hate when these videos start with, blank. I love blank. That's some purple prose shit, justifying my watching old 4Kids cartoons from my childhood in the comfort of my own bed while I ruin my sleep schedule. For those who lived under a rock, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a long-running trading card game created by late mangaka Kazuki Takahashi in conjunction with his popular Shonen Jump manga of the same name. The series is about a high schooler named Yugi Moto who unearths and solves the riddle of an Egyptian relic, the Millennium Puzzle. The item is inhabited by a wise pharaoh spirit, which swaps place with him during times of danger and challenges wrongdoers to games of chance, leading to their being met with karmic retribution more often than not. Initially, Yu-Gi-Oh! Began as a high school drama about the pharaoh facing new foes in games of chance and death, but this would lead to a formative arc of the manga and the creation of the then fictional card game, Duel Monsters. During this arc of the manga, Yugi faces the cruel and malicious gaming genius Seto Kaiba, who steals Yugi's grandfather's coveted Blue Eyes White Dragon card. Yugi is challenged by Kaiba to face him in a battle while his grandfather suffers some sort of card-related illness. Kaiba reveals that he possesses not only one of the Blue Eyes White Dragon cards that he destroyed, but 3. Yugi comes face to face with Kaiba's powerful deck, but due to his faith in complete bullshit, he draws the powerful Exodia cards, which once assembled, result in an automatic win. Yugi is reunited with his ailing grandfather, but their tearful reunion is a brief one, when Duel Monsters creator Pegasus contacts Yugi with an ultimatum: compete in his Duelist Kingdom tournament to win back the now captured soul of his grandfather, which was seized by him through the use of his own Millennium item, the Millennium Eye. So that brings us to what happened next. Following the popularity of this arc in the manga, Yu-Gi-Oh! Changes completely. Yu-Gi-Oh! Would go from being a series of morality tales where a vengeful Egyptian gambling spirit makes death wagers with criminals leading to their just desserts, to being a commercial for a successful card game franchise. Following the success of the Seto Kaiba arc of Yu-Gi-Oh!, major game manufacturer Konami saw the potential for a real game based on Duel Monsters. Konami decided to secure the rights from Weekly Shonen Jump to produce a card game based on the manga. However, the dark themes of the manga limited its audience, especially in the US, and Konami needed a franchise that could compete with Pokemania, which was taking the world by storm. They would opt to make the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime more child-friendly, and would heavily censor both the game and show internationally to compete with shows like Pokemon and Digimon. The new cartoon would air in 2000 in Japan, with a focus on the card game to promote the original card game released a year prior. This would then see a localization by 4Kids Entertainment and Kids WB in 2001. Yu-Gi-Oh! Would become an overnight success, with its first set, Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon, a set heavily inspired by the popular Duel Monsters arc, netting over $17 million in revenue in its first 2 months of release in the US. This included Konami securing a 30% share of the property. Over the next 20 years, Yu-Gi-Oh! Would sell over 35 billion cards, surpassing the sales of the extremely popular Pokemon trading card game. These sales, in conjunction with sanctioned tournaments at collectible stores, toy stores, and gaming venues, would further strengthen Yu-Gi-Oh!'s legacy. Creator Kazuki Takahashi intended the game and series to foster themes of tenacity and courage through bonds between individuals and friends, that competition and camaraderie are synonymous and can overcome any obstacle. Tragically, Takahashi would pass away in a drowning. He would witness distressed swimmers, a young girl and a man, and came to their aid at Mermaid's Grotto Beach in Nago, Japan. In saving their lives, Takahashi would succumb to the treacherous waves, later found dead off the coast by the Japanese Coast Guard. Takahashi was already a beloved and respected creator, but he would be remembered fondly by fans and colleagues for his bravery and this final act of heroism. Yu-Gi-Oh!'s popularity is still as significant as ever, with many players getting into the game internationally through in-person events and the availability of the online client Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. But what about the players? Do they embody the values of duelists like Yugi, Joey, and, not Kaiba, Jaden? Yeah. Are they like Jaden? The answer is no. Definitely not. Many players of the game cite various barriers to entry or even enjoyment as seasoned players. I've been a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I was a kid, and I used to play at local events when I was a teen. Honestly, it was really terrible, even back then when the meta wasn't pure shit. One of the worst things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Events would have to be the players. Many Magic the Gathering players would happily click their tongues and scoff at the idea of ever laying down a face down, because they're far too cerebral to do something as juvenile and pitiful as play a different card game for different big nerds. That said, these kissless 40-year-old virgin actually types have a point. Yu-Gi-Oh! Routinely attracts the most easily aggravated, narrow-minded, very stinky types to their events. Too often these players throw bizarre temper tantrums and run amok at sanctioned events because of a ruling dispute. In my research, I looked into several very funny, very sad disclosures from fans of the game. This happened about 7 years ago at the end of the Necros-Formst beginning of Pepe. Literally the day-old pendulum magician structure came out, so December 2015, lol. Back then, hand traps were rare, and Effect Veiler at the time was more of a tech card. I don't remember what I was playing, but my starting hand had 2 Veilers. My opponent started this combo, and I just Veiler it, and he crumbles. Nice fucking deck. He passes. I set up a board and almost OTK. 1-turn kill. Pass. He tried to combo again. I Veiler it again. So he proceeds to start literally yelling, "Nice deck! Nice deck!" And his friend comes over and asks, "What's up?" And he says, "Lost for Veiler. Fuck this deck. Nice deck! Nice deck!" Everyone was turning their heads, and it was so awkward. It was so funny to me, and my friends still say nice deck whenever anyone beats us in anything. My opponent had made a big board. This was back around the Mermail, Fire Fist format, or sometime after, where they were playing a Girgia Karakui on Dueling Network. They had a Stardust Dragon on the field and several Burrito. They attacked with everything except the Stardust Dragon, while I set up a Mirror Force, leaving me with 900 life points. They pass turn, not attacking with the Stardust Dragon. Comes to my turn, I draw into Dimensional Prison, and I proceed to set it, and I summon Kyoku the Ghost Destroyer to taunt my opponent, I guess, and I passed. Opponent enters the battle phase, attacks with Stardust Dragon. I flip Dimensional Prison. He was like, "As if that's going to matter," all rudely, I might add. They attacked with another monster, and I flipped Mirror Force. What proceeded after, I can't actually repeat, otherwise I'd get banned on Reddit. But just know it involved sexism, rape, bestiality, and racism. I told him to calm down. It's just a game. No reason to be this angry. He did not care one bit. I reported him that day, and he got permabanned. Never experienced anything like that prior to, and never happened afterwards. If no one believes me, I do actually have a screenshot of some of what was said, which again, I can't show due to it potentially being banned on Reddit. One of the more recent lowlights of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community has to be the enacted hygiene policy. On April 6th of 2024, a tweet went viral regarding kindness towards female Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. Now, I know what you're thinking. Girls play Yu-Gi-Oh? No, they don't. This was clearly an act of subterfuge from a Wizards of the Coast employee. To prove my thesis, I will now demonstrate my dominance by handily defeating a girl at Master Duel. The tweet from the player says the following. Recently at a Yu-Gi-Oh! Event, I'm playing Master Duel and this is my first time at a Yu-Gi-Oh! Event, said one girl. My area, even on Yu-Gi-Oh! Day. Even the instructor at the exchange meeting. I wondered if it would be okay since there were a lot of VSs like Purge, Centurion, Snake Eyes, etc. But sure enough, I got beaten up. The deck he was using was BF. I'm not used to it, and I'm worried that my deck power is not enough. To make things worse, the girl left midway through. I still think, I hope people don't come to hate Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're a man, please be a little kinder to women. Even if it's just a little bit. It sounds bad to say I'm going easy on you, so if I'm up against a man, I'll beat him to a pulp no matter what, even if he's a beginner or whatever. When the other person is a woman, hey, If there are more female duelists, there will only be benefits for men. So please support us. Following this viral post, the female duelist in question would respond, explaining that she left the event not due to rude male players or losing, but rather the horrendous odor from the other players at the card shop. I saw this because it was circulating, but considering the circumstances, it might have been me, but I left halfway through because I couldn't stand the smell. Crying face, holding back tears face. It's not like I lost or was sad holding back tears face. Many would take this as an opportunity to mock the Yu-Gi-Oh community relentlessly for being the stinky weirdos they were always speculated to be. A user would respond to Maddii Yu-Gi-Oh about how the story was funny, but she would reiterate that it smelled so bad that it was certainly no laughing matter. Many would speculate that this was the reason why women do not feel welcome or inclined to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's typically due to the hygiene in the environment, with many opting to play Master Duel at home rather than brave the miasma of people who bathe weekly. Duelist apologists would stand up against these venom-tongued vixens, saying that these are harmful stereotypes that only serve to hurt the reputation of the game. But they would be outnumbered by people emphatically agreeing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are in fact stinky weirdos. Years prior to this event, there would already be a policy put in place by Konami themselves to combat this lack of hygiene. Konami would update the actual official rules of the game to address bad body odor and hygiene. Players were warned that if they refrained from proper hygiene, wore dirty clothing, or appeared unkempt, they could be penalized. Despite this being an official rule, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players stand firm in smelling like rancid garbage, as doing something as time-consuming as bathing and doing laundry keeps them from finding ways to exploit meta or learn how to OTK with pendulums. Personally, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Must remain a boys' zone to ensure that our cultural touchstones are not all infected by femoids, who I imagine will try and inject their woke female POC characters into Yu-Gi-Oh! Proper. And they will make the Dark Magician Girl shave the side of her head or something. But let's focus more on the Dark Magician Girls of the community. Many aspiring My Valentines find themselves on the receiving end of unwanted touching, bizarre threats, and outright harassment. I recently started playing again after years so I could become active in my local community as well. Generally, it's been going very smooth except for some things. I've been told that I'm one of 3 girls in the entire local community. I live in one of the biggest cities in the country. At a casual tournament I went to spectate at, the organizer, male, kissed my cheeks when saying bye to me. He shook hands with my male friends, and I was already holding my hand out. The other event organizer called me the equivalent of sweetie when I asked him something. Never met the guy before, never talked to him. A guy would not stop looking at me at a local event. Just looks in general. I've seen guys looking over at me multiple times, sometimes, but not my male friends, even when it was the first time in a shop for all of us. Jokes, even if not aimed at me, stuff I heard flying around. Just good old stereotyping. And I know, sexism plays a role on who even starts playing this type of game. I'm not blind. I can see that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a mainly male space, at least in my country. But even online, all the Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTubers I've seen have all been male. And there's hella other factors that play into why this happens. But man, it's annoying. I hate that I'm avoiding playing tournaments because I'm scared of losing, and some fucker thinking that it's because I'm a woman. Like I have to represent an entire gender or something? I don't want to be treated differently, even if it gives me an advantage. I want to feel safe and comfortable and be mad that there's yet another motherfucker using Snake Eye. Not that they made some weird misogynistic joke. So, other girls, how has your experience been like? Are there other women in your local community, or are you one of the few, or the only? Have a nice day. Obviously, the couple of things I've cited, from the rage to the lack of hygiene to the barrier of entry to the feeling of unwelcomeness for women interested in the game, are all extreme examples. Yu-Gi-Oh! Groups, subreddits, discords, and events should, all be ways to communicate with fellow fans of the game. But that certainly isn't always the case. When I think of Yu-Gi-Oh!, I try and remember the game and anime that I came to enjoy as a kid, while choosing to forget the lousy experiences and people I brushed shoulders with as a player. I think even with my criticisms of the game, namely that combo decks have made it miserable to play casually, it's still a great time to get into it. Master Duel has made the game relatively easy to pick up and learn if you're not as easily frustrated as I am. You may come to find a new hobby and make some good friends. Probably not, though. That's why I play the superior Digimon TCG, to lose to sweaty nerds at a game that no one plays. I've wanted to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! For so long, whether it's the game or the anime. More than anything, I want to thank you enormous slugs in the cut. You guys are the strongest army, and I appreciate you tremendously. Thank you for your support, and of course, slugs never die.